I think it's working now. Good morning, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome you to this 13th Annual General Meeting of the Shareholders of Equity Group Holding Limited. We as a board are truly delighted to see the large number of shareholders who have come today in spite of having changed the venue from where we have been meeting for many years to now this venue, which I think you find more of greens than being in the city center. Your great institution always have this event every year where the shareholders and the people you have elected to provide the oversight come together. And before we start our business of today, as customary we've done in the past, we would like to invite one of our own, Bishop Kariuki, to read us with a word of prayer. Bishop.
Thank you, Chairman. Shall we pray? Our Heavenly Father, we want to thank you this morning. We even want to bless your holy name for being such a concerned and a loving God to us. We thank you for this gift of life and the gift of a new day. As we gather together here for our 13th Annual General Meeting, we want to pray for your guidance. We want to pray that, Lord, you take us through with your blessings. We thank you for everything that we're going to do in this meeting, and we ask that your blessing hand shall be upon all of us. We thank you for a blessed meeting, and we bless your name, for we believe you are here with us as you have always been with us. We thank you and we bless you. For this we pray in Christ Jesus our Lord. Amen.
Thank you very much, Bishop Kariuki, for connecting us with our Creator. And I shall now start by introducing the directors and professional advisors of your great institution. And today, we have directors from our subsidiaries. These are gentlemen and ladies sitting in the front bench who have come from all our subsidiaries, and I think it will be a good idea that you get to know them. But before I introduce them to you, let me first introduce the group holding board, and I'll start by asking them to stand wherever they are and introduce themselves one by one. Of course, the group board has the Chief Executive and the Managing Director, Dr. James Mwangi, that you see around here. Dr. Mwangi has been the captain of the ship for now many years, and it is through his efforts and the management that we have now gone to very many countries outside Kenya. Dr. Mwangi, as you may probably be aware, holds 5 honorary doctorate degrees from recognized institutions in Kenya because of his contribution in our great country. He has also the highest recognition from the state by being honored by the head of state with CBS Chief of Burning Spear. That is Dr. Mwangi. If I read his CV, it will take us a long time, and therefore I will request him to sit down with a clap from you for his good work. The other director of the holding company is Dr. Isaac Mudhure, who is also a professor at the University of Nairobi. And again, I don't know whether I'll ask Mary to read his CV so that at least you get to know who Dr. Mudhure is. Mary.
Thank you, Chairman. Professor Isaac Mudhure holds a Master of Medicine in Neurology, Bachelor of Medicine.
I knew I'd have a problem in pronouncing that. That's why I passed it over to her.
It's a big one. Thank you, Chairman. Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery from University of Nairobi, and is a Fellow of the College of Surgeons of East, Central and Southern Africa. He's a professor of ENT, head and neck surgery at the University of Nairobi, and has a depth of experience in the medical field for over 30 years. He is the East African Regional Advisor for CBM in ear and hearing care, as well as being the Regional Secretary for Africa and the Middle East, International Federation of Otolaryngological Societies. He's a past president of the Pan-African Federation of Otolaryngological Societies. He's a member of the Starkey Hearing Foundation Global Initiative Advisory Board. Professor Macharia was the founder chairman of the Allergy Society of Kenya, and is also the chairman of the Cochlear Implant Group of Kenya. He's the chairman of Savannah Informatics, Jadala Investments, and also co-founder and the chairman, Otolaryngological Associates and Nairobi ENT Clinic. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. If it were me, I would have said he's a very qualified doctor. Suffice to say, he specializes with anything from here on. And any of our investor who may be wanting to consult him, you have been told where he is. He has a clinic at Nairobi Hospital. Thank you very much. Clap for Dr. Professor Mudhure. Next to him is David Ansel, who is a non-executive director, and also my vice chairman. Again, I'll ask Mary, because of her good English, and able to pronounce every word, to also read this one.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. David Ansel, non-executive vice chairman, Equity Group Holdings, holds a bachelor's degree in mathematics from the University of Carolina in Wellington, another bachelor's degree in finance from the Thunderbird Graduate School of International Management, and an advanced management degree, AMP, from the Wharton Business School. Mr. Ansel was appointed as a director of Equity Bank in 2012, and also and also serves as the chairman of the board of directors of Equity's 100% owned subsidiary in Tanzania, and ProCredit Bank DRC, which is also a subsidiary of Equity Group Holdings, and Equity Investment Bank Limited. He is also the outgoing chairman of Equity Uganda and also Equity Rwanda. During his working career from 1968 to 2001, he served in various assignments at Citibank in the emerging markets, including 16 years in Africa. His last assignment before retiring was as president of Citibank Russia. From 1989 to 1991, he served from 1989 to 1991. He left Citibank and served as the managing director and the first CEO of EcoBank Transnational, located in Lome, Togo, but then later on he rejoined Citibank. So a very huge wealth of experience in banking and finance. Thank you.
And that is David. Please clap for him. I'll now go to the two ladies standing behind Mary, and I'll start with Evelyn. Please lead the CV for Evelyn.
Mrs. Evelyn Lutagwenda is the non-executive director of Equity Group Holdings Limited, and this is the CV. She holds a Bachelor's of Commerce degree from the Makerere University, Kampala, and is also a certified public accountant. She was appointed as a director of Equity Group Holdings in 2014, and also serves on the boards of directors of Equity Bank Rwanda and Equity Bank Uganda. She has previously worked as the Auditor General for the Republic of Rwanda, and as Secretary General of the Uganda National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, a consultant or project accountant in the Decentralization Secretariat, that is the Institutional Capacity Building Project, Ministry of Local Government of Uganda, and also as a Chief Auditor at UCA Auditing Services, among other engagements. Mrs. Lutagwenda spearheaded the formation of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Rwanda, ICPAR. She chaired the steering committee that was charged with organizing the accounting profession in Rwanda, and subsequently served the Institute in various capacities, and including as the chairperson of the Interim Governing Council, ex officio, and elected member of the Governing Council. She is currently the Vice Chair, Board of Directors of the Rwanda Development Board, and also serves on the Board of Directors of Victoria Motors Rwanda. She's also, at the moment, the chairman of our subsidiary, Equity Bank Rwanda Limited. Thank you, Chairman.
Let's give her a warm hand. Thank you, Evelyn. You can sit down. Last and not least is Helen Gishohi.
Thank you, Chairman. Dr. Helen Gishohi, MBS, is a non-executive director, Equity Group Holdings Limited. She holds a PhD in ecology from the University of Leicester in the UK, Master of Science degree in Biology of Conservation, and a BSc in Zoology from the University of Nairobi and Kenyatta University, respectively. She joined Equity Group Foundation in 2012 from the African Wildlife Foundation, where she served for 11 years, from 2001 as the president from 2007, vice president from 2002, and Director of Conservation Programs from 2001, when she joined the African Wildlife Foundation. Prior to that, she was the Managing Director of the African Conservation Center Helen is a recipient of the Charlotte Wayman's Trust Women in Conservation Program, the Order of the Great Warrior, and the Moran of the Order of the Burning Spear, MBS, awarded by the Government of Kenya in recognition of her outstanding contribution in conservation. She won the Gaia Environmental Award in 2012 at the WIFT's Foundation International Visionary Awards. She serves on the boards of Olpejeta Conservancy and African Wildlife Foundation, and previously also served on the Kenya Wildlife Service Board. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. A warm heart. Esteemed investors, with your permission, I will introduce another director who had requested, given an apology, he will not be able to attend this AGM because he's traveling. He is Dennis Arwanga, and I'll ask Mary to read his CV. Mary.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Dennis Alwanga, Non-Executive Director, Equity Group Holdings Limited, holds an MBA from the University of Edinburgh Business School in the UK and is a certified public accountant. He's a partner at Helios Investments Partners and serves as a non-executive director at Nation Media Group, Vivo Energy, Kenya, and Helios Towers, Tanzania. Dennis was the Chief Operating Officer at Industrial Promotion Services, East Africa, between 2008 and June 2011. Prior to joining IPS, he served in several capacities at Nation Media Group, rising to the position of the Chief Operating Officer. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. I will now request the directors of the subsidiaries to introduce themselves. And I'll start with Kenya, and I'll ask Professor Macharia to start with his team of the Kenyan subsidiary.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Just to help Mary pronounce that I am in Greek, I am an otorhinolaryngologist. In English, I am an ear, nose, and throat surgeon. That's what it means. Just Greek, Mary, you need to learn a little bit of it. And I have been privileged to succeed Mr. Peter Munga as the chairman of Equity Bank Kenya after his 34 years at the helm. Is a challenge that I'm sure the board and myself will rise up to. Peter Munga has grown Equity Bank from Equity Building Society to the apex of the Kenya banking sector, and we are going to climb to be at the peak. Thank you very much. I think I'll ask my fellow directors you don't have a mic? Okay, yeah. To introduce themselves. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman. My name is Dr. Julius Moya. I am a non-executive director in Equity Bank Kenya. I chair the board audit committee of the Equity Bank Kenya. My qualifications are quite a few. I have a PhD in finance. I am a CPA Kenya. I'm a CPS Kenya. I'm a chartered banker and I'm a chartered arbitrator. I've been a finance director for many years, starting with PricewaterhouseCoopers in Kenya and the UK. I was actually one of the early directors in this hotel where you are in 1992, 1995. I've been sitting on various boards since 1992, and my work on a day-to-day basis, I'm the Director General of Vision 2030 Delivery Secretariat, where we are guiding Kenya to be an upper middle income economy. And we link both public sector, private sector, academia, and development partners in what I do. I also teach strategy at Strathmore Business School, and in another life, I'm also chairman of International Leadership Foundation. I'm an executive coach in leadership. Thank you.
And that is Dr. Muya.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. My name is Frederick Muchoki Mwangi. I'm a businessman, and I I serve in the board of Equity Bank Kenya. I sit in the credit committee, and I also chair tendering and procurement. Mr. Chairman, allow me to say that I'm the second longest serving director apart from you now. And I am pleased to continue serving in Equity Bank. I'm in the hospitality industry. I'm in agriculture as well, and as well as in security equipment. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. That's Frederick Mushoki. The difference between him and me is that he's bald-headed and he shaves clean, but I wear a white wig. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mushoki. My name is Britesh. I'm the Group Chief Operating Officer, along with an Executive Director on the Kenya Board. 21 years of banking experience in Kenya, the UK, Botswana, and Singapore. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Professor Shem Migot Adola. I sit in Equity Bank Kenya as a non-executive director, and I chair the Risk Management Committee. I also sit in the Credit Committee. Have a little experience in banking, but I have vast experience in research, academia, worked for the World Bank, and also served as a permanent secretary during that dream team period in the Kenya government. Thank you.
He has overlooked to tell us that he was in the dream team of you Kenyans would remember about the dream team that had been appointed by a former president, and he was in charge, the permanent secretary, Minister of Agriculture, during the time of dream team. So we actually got him to come and form our dream team, this time to realize the dreams, and that's Professor Megot.
Good morning, everybody. I think you've already heard my CV, so I won't repeat stuff. My name is David Ansell. I'm on the board of Equity Bank Kenya as well as the holding company. At the board of Equity Kenya, I'm the chairman of the board credit committee, and I sit on the board ALCO and risk committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. As you may have been informed in the media, I had to retire from Kenya board because it wasn't really in good governance for me to report to myself at the holding company. So we did some reorganization, restructuring, and that's why I had to exit from the Kenyan board from last month and last board. Again, in Subsidiary is Dr. James Mwangi, whom we have read his CV and you all know. Can he stand among us? The directors of Kenyan Subsidiary, and that probably requires another one, another crowd. Thank you. We go to the next subsidiary, and I'll start with Uganda. Ugandan board with a share.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. My name is Apollo Makubia. I am the new chair of the Uganda board, replacing David Ansell as the chair. I am a lawyer. I practice with Max Advocates in Uganda. And we are part of the African Legal Network, which you may have heard of. In Kenya, we have our relationship with Anjawala and Kana. I also chair a board of Prudential Assurance in Uganda. I know that there is a branch here of Prudential, but I'm also a chair of a few other companies, including in real estate and investments. Before I became a chair of the board, I was heading the board committee on credit, and very, very proud that we are able to push the business in Uganda to the current levels where it's making profit, and now number 6 of all the banks in Uganda. I am also a deputy prime minister in the Kingdom of Uganda. You may have heard of this kingdom. It's an old kingdom in Uganda. And I am here representing the people of Uganda in Equity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chair. My name is Peter Shimboa. I'm an executive coach, and I'm also an adjunct faculty at Strathmore Business School. I am a director at Eskom, the biggest power generation company in Africa. I'm also a director for Baylor College of Medicine, which sits in Houston in Texas. I am a coach who is in charge of other coaches for CEOs in the financial sector in Africa. I am also a speaker every year, speaking to Kenyan students and also African students every year at Harvard Business School to get them back to Africa, because this is where the miracle is. It's in Equity. Thank you.
Next.
Thank you. Good morning, all. My name is Samuel Kirubi. I'm the Managing Director of Equity Bank Uganda. I've been with the bank now for 17 years. Previously, I was in Equity Bank Rwanda. All I can assure you is that Equity Bank Uganda, as you heard from the chairman, is doing very well. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Anthony Shituka. I'm the Executive Director at Equity Bank Uganda. I have over 10 years banking experience with knowledge in corporate finance. My other background is I'm an accountant, and I have an MBA in oil and gas. Thank you very much.
One of our colleagues, Geoffrey Rugazora, is not here. He was with us earlier in the day, but he had to fly to Lubumbashi for some urgent business. Geoffrey is a businessman. He heads the operation in East and Central Africa of Mogas. He's an accomplished accountant. He's got many years of experience working with Total Uganda. And right now, he is a member of the Equity Board, Uganda, and is in charge of the Assets and Liabilities Committee. He sends his best regards.
Thank you very much. We can now move to Rwanda, subsidiary. Yeah. But then you take over from there.
Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Evelyn Kamagaju Rutagwenda, a non-executive board member of Equity Bank Uganda Limited. I chair the audit committee, and I'm an accountant by profession. In addition to the 3 boards that I serve, the Equity 3 boards that I serve on, I'm the vice chair of Rwanda Development Board, and from last week, chair of Crystal Telecoms, a company listed on the Rwanda Stock Exchange, and board member of MTN Rwanda. I'm privileged to be of service to you shareholders. Thank you.
David, you're also in that board?
Sorry, you know me by now. Yes, I'm on that board. and chairman of the credit committee on that board.
Thank you, David. Rwanda, subsidiary.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I just introduced myself. From February this year, I'm the chair of the Equity Bank Rwanda board. I have a wonderful board which is very supportive to the executive and works as a team. And I would like them to now proceed and introduce themselves.
Thank you, Chairman. Dr. Patrick Uize. I hold a doctorate in business administration and specializing in risk management. I also hold various masters in finance and communications. I'm also a certified public accountant. I've worked for more than 28 years, a number of them in finance, in MTN. I set up MTN Rwanda as a chief finance officer. And later on, set up risk management and headed it, including at the group as well in South Africa. I'm also sitting on the board of, I'm the chairperson of Finserve Africa, the group, and I am also heading the audit and risk management in the Equity Bank, Rwanda. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Thank you, Chair. I am Professor Herman Musahara. I am a non-executive director of Rwanda Subsidiary and has been chairing ALCO committee. Professionally, I have been an academic and researcher for more than 35 years and has been leading various research organizations in Eastern and Southern Africa. And I'm very, very happy to be identified with the Equity Bank and the change to livelihoods it is making in the whole region. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Joanna Bixel, and in addition to the Rwanda board, I'm also on the Finserve board. I run a business in Rwanda, a technology company called Kasha. I have experience in the technology industry, working across East and West Africa on fintech and cybersecurity and other areas. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Hannington Namara. I am the Managing Director, Equity Bank Rwanda. I hold a degree in business. I have 15 years experience in different areas, ranging from policy, investment, business and private sector development, as well as corporate banking. Before I joined the bank, I was leading a country program for Trademark East Africa in charge of region integration. And before that, I was the CEO for Rwanda Private Sector Federation for a couple of years. And before that, I was in the banking sector, heading up a corporate banking department in what is now I&M Rwanda. And I joined the Equity. I'm glad to be here and to be of value to you, shareholders. Thank you.
Can we now move to Southern Sudan? Shem.
My name is Shem Migot. You had me before. I chair the subsidiary of Equity Bank in South Sudan, but I'll give my executive director, managing director. Addis Ababa, Oto.
Thank you very much, Chair. My name is Addis Ababa Oto. I might be the tallest in the room. I'm an executive director for Equity South Sudan. I worked for Central Bank of Sudan. I used to be teaching in also Nilen University, where I had my colleague here, Mary. I work for an auditing firm in Holland called Dubois Anco, an anti-corruption commission in South Sudan, Central Bank of South Sudan, and I joined Equity in 2015. So I'm happy to be among you. That's in short. Thank you very much.
Morning, everybody. Mary Ajid is my name. Non-executive member, Equity South Sudan. And I work for the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs as a legal counsel. I graduated from the same university as my colleague say. That is the University of Nilen. I worked before, during the movement up to now, with the Ministry of Justice. I advise also the Ministry of Gender. And I'm learning here something about finance. You can see that I'm a purely legal officer. I share the committee of drafting in the ministry. And also I joined Equity in 2012 and I share the audit committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, everyone. Dr. Kenyi Spencer is my name. I'm on the South Sudan Equity Board as non-executive member. I have two professions. One is international trade. I'm a specialist in that, responsible for cross-border trade. I'm also environmental economist, trained at the PhD level. So my professions are to have the, first of all, I'm sometimes considered Professor Kenyi Spencer, others call me Dr. Kenyi Spencer, either way it works. I have a master's in ecology. I have another master's in environmental management. Then I have my first degree in environmental sciences or environmental engineering. Now, before I joined the bank, 5 years ago, I worked with the World Bank as private sector development officer for the World Bank at a consultancy level. Before I did that, that was for 12 years. Before I did that, I was in South Africa running my own consultancy. And this consultancy was to help in developing what most of you know as the Black Economic Empowerment. After I established that, that's when the World Bank picked me, and then I ended up in South Sudan. So we are still going to be together. We are going to grow the economy. We are going to grow Equity Bank together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we now move to Tanzania and ask David to start with his team?
Thank you very much. I won't introduce myself again. I think that's reasonable. You heard enough from me. But I'm very ably assisted on my board by, I think there's 4 gentlemen here down at the far right, my far right, your far left, who can introduce themselves. So please do.
My name is Professor Ahmed Ame. I'm actually professor in business administration. I also have a background of statistics and operations management. I'm a non-executive director in Tanzania and Subsidiary. I've been in the board for 2 years now. Actually, we have a bank branch in Dodoma, and I'm like father of this branch. I oversee and wanting to see daily progress of the branch. Professionally, I have been in teaching career way back from 1992 at the University of Dar es Salaam, and then I moved to University of Dodoma when it was established in year 2007. I have, I can say, fair experience of teaching and supervising, PhD as well as master's students. I've so far supervised above 100 students in the area of business administration. My area of interest when it comes to conducting and supervising research is service quality and customer satisfaction, specifically in the area of banking. I have also held several academic positions. At the University of Dar es Salaam, I was coordinator of all evening-based programs at the business school there for about 5 years. And when I moved to University of Dodoma, I was director of graduate studies for 9 years, and very recently, I have been appointed deputy vice chancellor of the university, responsible for planning, finance, and administration. Let me take this opportunity to invite you to Dodoma, the capital city of Tanzania. There are a lot of actually investment opportunities there. And don't forget, you have your bank there, Equity. You're welcome.
Next.
Thank you, Chairman, and good morning, shareholders of Equity Bank. Habari asubuhi. My name is Godfrey Simbe. I sit in the board of Equity Bank as a non-executive. I have also two professions. I'm a certified public accountant, but also I'm an IT specialist, having done my master's degree in IT in Scotland in 1996. At the Equity Bank, I also chair the audit committee, and I sit in the credit committee as well. But in my day-to-day activities, I'm a CEO of an organization called Tanzania Private Sector Foundation. This is the same, we do the same things, just like Kenya Private Sector Alliance here in Kenya. So I think most of you know about Kenya Private Sector Alliance, and James Mwangi also sits in the board of that organization. But in addition to that, I'm also the chairman of the National AIDS Trust Fund in Tanzania. There's a lot of money in that fund, and I'm the one who has been given the responsibility to take care of that money. So I want to assure you, shareholders, I am the chairman of the credit committee in the Equity Bank Tanzania. Your money you have invested in Tanzania is safe under me. I can assure you that. So we are there to make sure that Equity Bank in Tanzania becomes the best subsidiary in the whole group. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, shareholders of Equity. My name is Engineer Raymond Birinyi. In addition to engineering, I also have a master's in business administration. I'm the non-executive board member of Equity Tanzania. I'm the head of the risk committee, and I'm also sitting on the governance and credit committees of the Equity Bank. My role in Tanzania, I'm the executive secretary of Tanzania National Business Council. This is a council which is chaired by His Excellency, the President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Dr. Magufuli. I think you know him very well. The role of the council actually is to bridge the private sector and the government. Prior to this position, I was executive secretary of Tanzania Investment Center, just like Ken Invest. And before going to Tanzania Investment Center, I was the first director of Dar es Salaam Rapid Transit System. You have heard about the public transportation in Dar es Salaam. So I was the first director who championed that public transport system in Tanzania. What I would like to assure you, Equity has a huge potential to grow in Tanzania. The economy is growing, and we will make sure that Equity Tanzania become #1 so that the shareholders here in Equity Group can enjoy the benefit which are in Tanzania under the umbrella of East African Group. Thank you very much. Karibuni sana Tanzania.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, members. My name is Joseph Iha. I'm the Managing Director of Equity Bank Tanzania, leading the management team in execution of the strategy. I've been in Tanzania for the last 6 years, taking care of your interests. Before that, I was in Uganda, where I worked for 2 years, and prior to that, I worked in Kenya for 10 years. So I have knowledge of the East African market, and that knowledge is what I'm applying in taking care of your interests in Tanzania, together with an able board of directors. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Iha. Can we now quickly move to ProCredit, DRC, and ask David Ansel to introduce his team.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think I can promise you this is the last time you hear from me today. Oh, okay, maybe not. I'm very pleased to be the non-executive chairman of ProCredit Bank in DRC. DRC is a special place to me. Some of you will know that I lived there for 3 years in my banking career in 1975, 76, 77, and have followed the progress. It was then Zaire at the time. Have followed the progress of banking and the community since those times. So it's a especially fond place to me, and I'm very proud to be the chairman. Please, I'll ask some of my fellow directors seated to my left, your right, to introduce themselves. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Wolfgang Bertelsmeier. I'm independent director on the board of ProCredit Equity DRC. And I'm also chairman of the audit committee in the Congo, and I sit on a number of the other committees in the Congo. My background is basically in banking and finance. I started in commercial banking, running a branch office, making car loans and so forth. I later on moved to the World Bank. During that time, I also covered Zaire, now DRC. So it's a country that I'm reasonably familiar with. After my retirement, I'm engaged in a number of financial institutions. I'm on the board of a number of banks in Europe. So I'm keeping up to date with what's happening in the banking sector. I'm also chairman of the board of the biggest investment fund in Vietnam. So my contribution really to ProCredit Equity Congo is number one, commercial banking in general, and also a global perspective, because I do work globally. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hi, everyone. My name is Jean-Claude. It's a pure French name, but call me JC. So I'm sitting in the board as a non-executive director. But previous to that, I was executive director for Microsoft. I was looking after 19 countries in West and Central Africa. And I spent more than 10 years in the telecom industry. I was the commercial director for Celtel, which became later on Airtel. I launched the mobile banking in DRC, but export that expertise to the Americas, in Jamaica, Haiti, to Australia as well. So one of my expertise is setting up a distribution network. So we have started to work closely with the team on the ground in Kinshasa to well establish the agent banking in DRC. So thank you very much.
Next, Philip.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Philip Siegwart. I'm also executive director in DRC, and at the same time, group director for SME banking of Equity Bank, Equity Group, based in Nairobi. I've been working in banking for more than almost 20 years now, in various capacities, various functions. I started my career working for the European Bank of Reconstruction and Development in Russia. And then I was working in an MD function in various subsidiaries of a big, large German banking group, which is called ProCredit. My last role before joining Equity Group, I was actually executive chairman of ProCredit Bank in DRC before it was acquired by Equity Group. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. My name is Celestin Mukeba. I hold a degree in business administration and management from Protestant University of Congo. In addition, I have a degree in banking administration from ProCredit Academy in Germany. In total, I have 11 years of experience in the banking industry. I have occupied top position, so I've been deputy MD since 2008. I was in charge of the institution. I am now currently the managing director of the subsidiary ProCredit, which is the subsidiary of Equity in DRC. We are doing good. I think since Equity joined the DRC, it's revolutionary what is happening. We have launched agency banking with 1,000 agents already. So we have grown the balance sheet, and the countries, the bank is doing really well in the country. So we are moving forward, and we look forward to push the subsidiary in the top position in the Equity Group. Thank you very much.
Thank you. If that's the end, then I'll call upon the chairman of Finserve, Dr. Patrick, who is here, to introduce his team. Finserve is the one that has created the platform for Equitel.
Yes. Thank you, Chairman. I think I don't have to introduce myself. I had already done it. I'll invite the team, the board members of the Finserve. They're here. We start off with myself. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Isis Nyongo, and I'm on the board of Finserve as a non-executive director. I come with about 15 years of experience in mobile and media and technology overall across the continent, working for both very large companies such as Google, as well as smaller companies to build and grow their businesses across the continent. In addition to Equity, I sit on the board of Rancard, which is a mobile technology company in Ghana, and I'm very interested in how we can create better services and deliver better products and services over mobile to all our customers. So thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Joanna Bixel. Prior to starting my technology company in Rwanda, which is mobile e-commerce for women's health, I worked at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation as the principal technology advisor for global development. So I worked on technology and fintech, agriculture, health, and supply chain. Previous to that, I spent 11 years at Microsoft in a variety of roles, including software development and cybersecurity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Karovia.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, shareholders. My name is Eric Kekonyo Karobia. I am an executive director in the Finserve board. I have 14 plus years in banking and telecommunication, and I'm also the group director in charge of strategic execution, project management office, and ICT and program governance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman, there is another board member, managing director, Jack Ngari, is not here, but is an efficient managing director for Finserve. Thank you. Oh, there is also Dr. Mwangi.
Well, thank you very much. Let's give them a clap. I'll now request Dr. Mwangi to introduce his team in Equity Group Foundation. Dr. Mwangi.
Thank you, Chairman. The Equity Group Foundation is the one that is responsible for building the brand and particularly enlarging the brand on impact, particularly social impact in society. We have a management team. If the management team can stand, it will be good. We recognize the management team, Finserve, just a few. But we also have one board member who has joined us, Zainab. Maybe Zainab, you can introduce yourself.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Zainab Jaffer. I sit as a non-executive board member of the Equity Group Foundation. I'm an entrepreneur. I manage our family's interests in New York and Dubai and London. I also sit as the board member of the Nurafchan Foundation, which is based in Dubai and Los Angeles. I also sit as a board member and a trustee of the Jaffer Foundation and Coast General Hospital in Mombasa. I'd like to thank you all for all your support that you give to the foundation. Thank you.
Yes, essentially the Wings to Thrive program, the FINCA, all that is administered by the trust. Most of the board members are not with us today, But that's the team that runs the foundation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mwangi. Last and not least, I would like to introduce to you the company secretary, Mary Wangari Wamai. Please. Please give her a clap. The team of professionals that guide the bank are Joseph Chabot, partner of Ernst & Young, and they are now the outgoing auditors. Can I ask them to stand? Having done that, my esteemed investors, I would now like to confirm that we have the required quorum for us to start. And for that, I'll ask the Secretary, Mary Wangari, to confirm whether we have quorum or not.
Mr. Chairman and fellow shareholders, I do confirm that we have a quorum for this meeting under Article 58 of the Articles of Association of the company. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I now declare the meeting duly constituted and open the AGM. And with that, I'll also request our company secretary to take us through the agenda of today's meeting.
Mr. Chairman, the notice and agenda of this meeting was duly circulated as per the requirements of our Articles and Association, and the same is on page 6 of the booklet that you have, the integrated report on page 6 of that booklet. And I would like to request that we take the agenda on page 6 as duly read. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mary. Item number 2, to receive, consider, and if thought fit, adopt the annual report, audited financial statement, and director's remuneration report for the year ended that 1st December 2016, together with the chairman's, directors, and auditors' report thereon. Can I have a shareholder to propose that the chairman's statement is taken as read? Somebody? Yes? Can I have another shareholder to second the proposal? The names? Can you say your name? Okay. The shareholder seconding proposal. Thank you very much. Having seconded the proposal, the chairman's statement is taken as read. Now, my esteemed shareholders, if you allow me, I'll ask the Chief Executive, Dr. Mwangi, to take us through the performance highlights. Dr. Mwangi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Esteemed shareholders, let me take a few minutes to take you through the accounts, not just about numbers, but just so generally the operating environment. And so we'll look at the accounts both qualitatively and quantitatively. But because you have the accounts, I'll try to just pick a few slides that make you understand and know what drives our business. If we could look at the operating environment last year was quite challenging. We all know that 3 banks failed. And if you look at the point the banks failed, if you look at the slides or the screens, as you can see at the point of the bank failures, turbulence got very heavy in the banking industry. And since then, banking environment have never been the same. If you look up to the time of crisis of the banks, the curves in the banking industry were the same. All banks were almost operating in the same market. But you look since the failure of the three banks, all the lines are different, and every bank is priced very differently from any other bank. I want to say that the failure of these banks had nothing to do with the financials. It had a lot to do with the people who had been entrusted to run those banks. It was an issue of governance. And seated here, I was very excited that our chairman today gave us an opportunity to know the people we have entrusted. As we as management are very privileged to be given that caliber of board members, people who have reputation, people who have stakes in society, and people who have painstakingly created names that they jealously protect and hold the bank to great accountability. The biggest asset Equity have is in people. Most people look at numbers, but if you look at the quality of the people in the bank, that explains what we shall see, the outstanding performance of the bank, outperforming any other bank in Africa. It's simply because of quality of people. And I'm proud while the chairman has a very able board, we equally at management have a very able management team. And I'm glad you saw the managing directors of the subsidiaries. Looking at the quality of loan book, this is what is happening in the banking industry. The quality of loans have really deteriorated. That is why we talk about non-performing loans. As you can see, before the crisis, we were at 5.7, and now the banking industry is almost at an average of 10%. I'm really glad to report as that last year, we were still hovering around the 6%. So the bank is performing well, and we have maintained the performance of the bank in quality of loan book. It has not been easy, but we are glad that the management team and the board has managed to maintain the book. If you look at liquidity, and this is the most challenging thing, the whole banking industry has been significantly challenged. And that is the amount of money banks have been borrowing from the central bank. We talk of last letter. When a bank is not able to get enough of money from deposits, it borrows from central bank. So when you see this type of billions of shillings being borrowed by the banking industry, it tells you how difficult the operating environment is. And lastly, let's look at the commercial bank lending rates. And again, that has been challenging. We know the interest rates capping, and we know the problem that interest rate capping has brought. The lending to the government, which is risk-free, is at around 12 to 13, and there is no risk. And when you lend to the private sector, the risk, as we saw for the banking industry, is the bank will lose 10%, but the maximum it can charge is 14%. So it means risk is not priced. And that is the biggest challenge that we have in the banking industry when it comes to interest rates. As a result, what we have seen is banks' profitability has been declining significantly. Not our bank, but this is figures for the banking industry. Instead of profitability growing, profitability of the banking industry have been declining. As a result, the share price of banking stocks or banking shares have been significantly eroded. And as we can see, it's huge percentage and again, the biggest challenge we have is, as you can see, the lending rates and the treasury bill rates. We have most of the infrastructure boards earning more than 14%. And banks are constrained. If the government is offering 14.5 and there is no risk of default, NPLs is 0, the temptation then is to invest to protect the profitability of the shareholders in government stock. So, and that is what the issue is the pricing. And then lastly, this is worrying a little bit. It seems to have stabilized now, but the exchange rate, the Kenya shillings exchange rate against the US dollar currency, you can see the fluctuation and the gap, and that again create instability in the environment we are operating in. And as we can see, inflation has now increased all the way to 10.5. So when inflation is at 10.5 and net lending rates are 8, what it means for every money you lend, you lose 3 percentage points in terms of value, because the lending rate, the net lending rate, net interest rate is lower than the inflation rate. And that is what we are talking about. The economy we are operating on is really, and of course, the big debate is the balancing act between risk-free asset and risk-yielding risk asset yields. When risk-free assets are earning more or are yielding more than risk assets, then it becomes very difficult for a banker, because bankers make money by taking risk, by pricing risk. But we are now not able to price risk. And when you hear bankers complaining, it's because you can't price risk. And banking is about pricing risk. I think beyond the microeconomic environment, one of the biggest challenges that we have had to contend, and particularly us, because of our rural, big branch network, is this drought phenomenon. This drought phenomenon has been bigger than what has been depicted by the price of uga. When you go to our branches in northern Kenya, you find almost 60–70% of the livestock was wiped out by drought. And eventually, what we manage, the wealth, the money we manage in northern Kenya is all about livestock. So essentially, we are saying times are really difficult. The region that we have seen, the environment has been fairly challenging. If you look at South Sudan, we're still coming out or seeking to come out of turbulence. DRC is having elections. Those are two transition countries. Last year, we had Uganda and Tanzania hold elections. And this year, we are having elections in Kenya and Rwanda. And we all know the effect of our politics in Africa. So this is also affecting the environment within which the management team. And globally, commodity prices have been coming down significantly. For us in East Africa, this has not been a big challenge, because the most hit commodity has been oil, and we are net importer of oil. That has been the saving grace. But for a country like DRC, which is a major importer of minerals, the growth rate has come from 13 all the way down to 2 because of collapse of prices. So again, that is the environment within which I'm leading this group. If you look at the Chinese economy, which has really been supporting Africa, it's slowing down, and we have to contend with that slowdown of the economy. And the question is, will the Chinese economy continue to invest in Africa? Will it continue to support infrastructure? So there are big questions that has a lot of if. And of course, there are global phenomena that nobody understands. There is, of course, the Donald Trump phenomenon in the US. Now we can see the major issue that has been brought before him, and the question, what will be the outcomes? When US develops a cold, the rest of the world somehow catches up very quickly. And particularly the play out on interest rates, it's affecting the global capital trades. And of course, our biggest export market is Europe. And Britain now, the seesaw we are seeing with the European community as Brexit continues. But what we are saying is, as a very solid management and very talented and gifted and experienced board, what we have said is that will manage this business profitably, maintain, as we have seen, the quality of loan book by thinking differently. And what we have done is scenario planning. And I want to say the first one we decided to focus on is if banks are really that tight and borrowing from central bank, what we shall do is to fortify our liquidity. And I'm glad to say we are very liquid. As we can see, the latest liquidity figures is we are at 48%. The requirement is 20%. So here is where you do a trade-off, profitability or liquidity. And you say in turbulence, liquidity is king. Last year, we were operating at an average of 26, but maybe, as they always say, cash is king. We are very, very strong, 48%. As we speak, that has grown up to 53%. So the bank, I guess, is the most liquid bank in the country, and if not number one, maybe it reaches number two. As I said earlier, we have tried to do the best we can do on quality of our loan book. And as you can see, when the industry is 10, we are still hovering at 6, and we are doing everything possible to bring this down to 5, and I will show you the management team that have tasked that we have to do about 5, which will be the average for the banking industry. I know as shareholders, our customers or members are talking to you and asking, why is equity not leading us? And as you know, we have 50% of all the borrowers in Kenya are lent by Equity Bank. And that has been really a big challenge. So like Northern Kenya now, with that devastating drought effect on livestock, you find even restocking itself is a problem because there is nowhere to buy the new stock of livestock from, because it's a devastating regional crisis. So lending again, you see, coming down. If you look at, maybe let's go back to NPLs, the non-performing loans. That is the average. As you can see, most of our segments we are at. Now, we lent money at maximum 14. We pay minimum to depositors 7. Average is 8. So when you deduct 8 from 14, we are left with 6. When you are left with 6, and then the risk of lending is 6, it wipes out all your interest. And that is where the banking industry problem is. And that is why you find banks have had to tighten. You can only make money from lending at the moment if your NPLs is about 2%. Otherwise, what is happening? The net interest rate of 8% is being wiped out by the non-performing loan provisions and write-offs. So essentially, that is where the challenge is. But we hope we'll develop new mechanisms of. As a result, what we have done is to build a very agile balance sheet that can survive. Sometimes you say what you do is to fortify. During war, people build bankers. We have built our banker in our balance sheet, making it very agile and very flexible and focused to sustain any shock that can come in the foreseeable future. So we are very confident, and we can tell shareholders, the ship is steady and will continue sailing to our expected destination. We have also taken a long-term view. How do we ensure if shocks comes in the short term, we are able to survive? And so we have taken a long-term view. And because of our reputation, we have strengthened our capital base and strengthened our long-term loans radar so that any shock that can come to the market, we can ride over it very easily. As a result, because of this, the ranking that has been put, as we can see, in the top 1,000 banks in the world, we're very, very proud we are ranked Africa's best bank in every respect. So if you look at soundness, because of the way we have built our balance sheet, we are ranked as a 2016, the 43rd most solid bank in the world. So we're not talking about Kenya, we're not talking about Africa, We're talking about the whole world. Being ranked number 43rd tells you the kind of investment you have made in buying shares in Equity Bank. But in terms of profitability, we are now, because of that challenge we have in Kenya, where 90% of our profit come from, we have moved from being the 18th best profitable bank in the world to number 34. But 34 in the world is still a very good position to be in. But our effort is to become better. But return on asset, despite that decline, we are still the 8th best bank in the world in terms of return on asset. And as you saw, because of maintaining the quality of our loan book, our global credit rating has remained the same status. We have not been downgraded. We are still an investment grade, the top you can get of AA in national terms, because it's subjected to the national rating, and the rating is stable. And in terms of banking awards, as you can see, they're still the most innovative bank, the best bank in mobile banking. Euromoney's named as Africa's best bank. So it's not just the ranking. For 10 consecutive years, we have been named the top banking super brand in East Africa. And we feel very proud because it's sometimes easy to get to the top. But remaining at the top for 10 consecutive years, 1 year after the other, a child is born and gets to standard 5. Born and gets to standard 5. When you remain at the top, there is some stability, and that's why we really pride in the type of quality of management. Last year, we entered a number of awards, and we got the best 13 awards. I don't want to talk about last year because I have current news. If you look at the table right here, we are parading the awards. We entered 24 categories that banks were competing. We took 19 awards out of the possible 24 awards. And this is in a market of 43 banks. So when you take 19, and out of 19, 14 out of 24, we were number 1. And I'm also happy to say I was named the Banking Chief Executive of the Year, the last year but one. And I think last week I also saw, I was also named the Banking Chief Executive of the Year for East Africa. And I've also been nominated to be the African Banker of the Year. And hopefully we'll get news. But I'm also very excited that my coaching and mentoring of staff have gone well. The youngest banker, aspiring banker this year, came from Equity Bank, and it's none other than a very young banker who is doing banking. So coaching and mentoring. So while we have secured the present and we created the past, it appears the future is still safe, because we are creating the bankers of the future. So as you can see, these are the words. Now, this is a very interesting slide, and I would like particularly people like Jones, who really interpret this figure, to look at it very closely. While the banking industry is going through turmoil, we are increasing our total market share. When we sat here last year, we had a total market share of only 9.7% of all the total banking business in Kenya. You have 43 banks, but you have 9.5. Now, we have increased that from 9.5 to 10.5. What are we saying? We are consolidating. The public took us as the safe, secure place in terms of uncertainty. So when banks were having challenges, what we did, we became the recipient of all the deposit from the customers who were uncertain about the banking industry. And that is how our liquidity increased from 26 to 53. And I'm really proud, because the most important thing for a bank is trust. And what this reflects is that we are the most trusted bank in the RAD to be able to increase our market share in terms of turbulence, in times of uncertainty. And this, again, shows how consistent we can go. And if you look at deposit rate, growth rate, we are growing much faster, one slide behind. We are growing faster. The bottom slide shows every quarter, like the third quarter, when there was a lot of turmoil, when the banks failed, when the banking industry was growing at 3%, that quarter we grew by 22%. You can 7 times faster than the banking industry. And that is how we acquired an additional 1% of the market share. And we sustained that even in the fourth quarter. I'm happy to say, even in the first quarter of this year, we have continued to maintain the same kind of trajectory. And in terms of capacity to unlock talent and deployment of yield, as we can see, liquidity is very good. And when the next thing is, well, it might not be possible to make money in lending. Where is equity making money? Because we are still making money, as we shall see. And we are making money from thinking, re-engineering business. And basically what we have done is to focus on innovation. Initially, we had an innovation hub as a department. But now we have made an innovation to be a complete subsidiary, doing nothing else but innovations. And you can see where we have got people like Isis Nyong'o, a Stanford graduate, to bring what we could call, people call it the Silicon Valley. Stanford helped to build. And we are challenging them, can we build the Savannah's Silicon Valley? And as you can see, we have managed to get Jones from what we could call the global teams that lead in technology and innovation, and people like Patrick, who is sharing. And we believe in the next 2 years, this is where the bank will be. But we can start seeing the traction of innovation and fixed costs, as everybody can see down on the slide. I think you're watching from you, it's on the left side. The fixed costs are coming down and variable cost channels are going up. This is the self-service platforms, the agency, the easy pay, the mobile, if we go to the next slide. And Equitel continues to do well. And what this is delivering is significant convenience. And what has given us a lot of hope is that in money transfer, the next slide, we have now been able to capture, as at September last year, we had captured 20% of the total national market value. But I'm happy to say now we are driving 22% as at March. And I hope as at December. By March, I'm guessing and estimating we have captured 25% of the total national market money transfer. And then it shows how quickly the innovation journey is. And what has happened, if you look at that slide, whatever the dominant telecom is losing, it's what we are taking. You can see the two curves. Our prayer is that those two curves can converge within a period of 5 years. And we shall do whatever it takes to ensure we don't just get 20, but gradually 40. And if we get 50, then the two curves will have converged. We just need to double what we have today, and the two curves converge. And we'll have, again, disrupted money transfer and telecom industry the way we disrupted banking. This is one challenge we have given that young team, and we believe they will deliver. If that happens, Finserve, which flagship product is Equitel. And now we are saying Equitel should not be the flagship product, it should be fintech. APIs in 10 years should be bigger than the bank. And hopefully we'll leave to as shareholders, we'll retain our shareholding and bear that benefit. And of course, we have seen how the funding is moving, very significant numbers. So I don't want to go. But the next slide, let me take 2 minutes to explain this slide. This slide will transform equity. There was a day I was quoted as saying, we can see the death of the branch. But see what has been happening over the branch. For the last 5 years, the number of customers coming to the branches have been coming down dramatically. Where are the customers going? To the agents. Now, agents is not even the preferred. Equitel is a 247. The equity app, the equity portal have become so popular. And you can see how quickly Equitel has become bigger than all the channels put together. The number of transactions we process in agents, ATMs, branches are fewer than the ones we are now processing on Equitel. And that is the confidence that we have. Equitel is likely to go. I think number of agents continue to grow. Money transfer, this is diversification, merchant banking. We now control 45% of all merchant banking. Merchant banking is where people pay using their cards. Instead of paying cash, you swipe your card. 45% of all merchant banking in the country is done by equity. And we only started merchant banking 2011. So in just 6 years, we've been able to capture 45% of the market. Aggressive drive, and as you heard, I have a director in my office of strategy and a director of execution. A strategy is as good as its execution. So again, this is what has given. And of course, global money transfers. You can see again, our innovation, PayPal, which we innovated, and we are exclusively the managers or users of PayPal in East Africa, is now controlling 27% in just 2 years. We expect PayPal this year to contribute more than all the other channels, MoneyGram, Western Union, put together. So essentially, technology-driven products are easy. As a result, we have developed a lot of technology products. And the next slide shows you the new product. Instead of the traditional product, this is self-service product. Customers serve themselves. When customers serve themselves, what it means is that we compress time and time ceases to be relevant. Bank is open to you 24 hours. We compress distance because you no longer need to go to the branch. The branch is your phone, and you can get banking services whatever time, wherever you are. And that to us is what will lead it, that convenience, that ease, and that secure environment. And I just want to share with you 2 slides, because it is one thing to develop products and innovate products. It's another thing to launch and watch the performance of the product. The first product that is really transforming and what made Gaki Mwongera to win the youngest banker award, the most promising banker award, is this product. But you can see we launched it last year in July, and now it is the master product. I wish we could go back to the slides. You can see the trend, and we hope this will be sustained, and if it is sustained, we'll overcome all the challenges we talked about earlier on. Easy app. This is where, instead of Equitel, you can download this app irrespective of who your telecom provider is. So the 4 telecoms, all the customers with the 4 telecoms, they download the app and they start operating like they have an Equitel. And we can see how, again, that is performing. EasyNet is personal internet banking. We can see how it is happening. And then we can see the slowdown. This, I think, is just what we have been talking about the banking industry. As a result, let me just close by moving faster to the numbers. Let's move to the numbers. Just before this is what we were seeing. We now are a company of that, a holding company, Equity Group Holdings Limited, of 13 companies. And we saw the boards, we saw the banking boards. But there are others like insurance, there are others like custodial, there is others like brokerage. So that is how the company look like. And the company, as we have always said, My biggest responsibility now is to coach and mentor. And as you can see in my office, I have 4 directors that we are working with. And I would like maybe the 4 directors in my office, if they could start. Ruben, that's Ruben Bidu. He's the one who looks after leadership development, thinking about strategy of people, or looks at the culture of the organization. Brent from Philippines is the director who looks at value drivers. What drives this bank? What creates value? How is the engine? And all of us who have cars, we always do a dipstick on the oil to gauge the size and how much we have. He does the dipstick of the bank on daily basis to ensure we never run out of oil or gas and that the engine is burning. And of course, we have seen the youngest man who said he joined the bank about 13 years ago, 14 years ago as a cashier, has now become a director in the bank with the energy of youth to execute. And this is a promise of equity. It's not only equity grows, customers grow and staff grow. And of course, we have the director of strategy. She develops strategy, hands over, and then reviews whether it is. And Brent measure the outcome of that strategy. Is it giving results? And then Ruben ensures our staff understands and executes. So those are the 4 directors in my office. Then there is a couple of directors who are involved in managing the bank on a day-to-day basis, led by Batesh. That is a director who on daily basis do execute. Everybody thinks James do everything in the bank. As you can see, even in my own office, I just check, are they doing their job? So as you can see, it's really, so Batesh is the one who learns the day-to-day banking. And he has a couple of directors, directors in the holding company. Many didn't come. Very good. At the far end there, we saw Philip, who is director of SM. We decided to focus on small and medium enterprises. That is the future of the country. Thus are the companies creating wealth. He has experience of 21 years in Europe. Then there is James Motuko. James Motuko manages treasury. How do we manage our money on daily? How do we ensure we never lose money in the market? So James Motuko has how many years of experience? 20 years of banking experience. We had Batesh 21 years. Alan, I've worked with Alan for nearly 30 years. Director of projects to ensure the projects that are maintained. And Rohit is looking at credit for the whole group. And where is the risk team? Okay, they are shy. Oh, very good. Kimanthi manages the risk of the group. So essentially, there are a few directors who might not be there. I think how many? 3 more directors who are not there. Those ones have no customers. They look at the whole group. They supervise Congo. They supervise Uganda. And then, of course, they are supervising the MDs, maybe that team. The MDs who are managing the subsidiaries, we saw them. These are the people who are they also have their management team. Like, what gives me a lot of pride is that all these we have developed from within the bank. People always ask, what about after James? You can see I'm not in DRC, I'm not in Uganda, I'm not in Rwanda, and they are doing much better, as we shall see. I'm a good trainer, a good coach, and a good developer. It's like the way you brought your kids. Your legacy will be protected by your kids. So I'm very proud that I don't have to go hiring outside. I develop from within. But I'm also glad I have given the Kenya banking industry 7 managing directors. So it's not only equity, we have also given the industry so that the industry can be as strong as equity. So essentially, we are very strong in terms of money. The general managers directors of Kenya, Gerard, Elizabeth. I want to recognize the other directors in Kenya. These are very substantial directors. Elizabeth holds all the loan book in Kenya. And it's 90% of all the loan book of the group. Gerard manages all the deposit in Kenya. Is about 89% of all the deposits of the group. And Nyamo, David, is the one who does the marketing of the group. So, but these directors who are at the group on a day-to-day basis, they also serve in Kenya because we host them in our headquarters. They can't just be telling us they are looking at Rwanda, Tanzania, and Uganda, which are 10%. So they spend 80% of their time serving Kenya. So that's really general managers who are in the room. Just start, I acknowledge you. So you can see layers of. They are managing directors. They are directors in CEO's office. They are corporate directors. They are managing directors of subsidiaries. Now, these are general managers. It's what you say, generation after generation. And if you look, the only thing about these ones, they are younger. I would have been worried if they were my age mates, because then we could retire the same time. If you look at these ones, other than Nyoro, they are all under 30. The directors in Kenya and the group are in their late 30s. And me, of course, you know, I'm closer to your age. Let's continue. So that is the team that has brought this performance together. And as we can see, we can jump that and just quickly go through the bank. The bank last year grew 11%. Mary is reminding me that I've only introduced the team at the headquarters, where I sit, and he says, James, you know you don't produce any deposits or give any loans. They are given by the branch managers. BGDMs, where are you? Start. The real people who manages the business, where the rubber meets the road. And the general managers managing business. Those are some of the few. You know, you can see the commitment. We invited all of them to come for AGM, and we have 46 branches in Kenya, in Nairobi, and you can see it only 7 who came. The others are running business, passion and enthusiasm for business. Again, I'm very grateful for what you are doing. And of course, what we have also done for this team, we have also started saying, how would the world look like when these people who devoted themselves so much to serve equity, when they retire, they join equity on boards? And I've started training them. So the management team that is in management boards, insurance, please start up. Those who have been appointed in management boards. You can see coaching in equity is at very different levels. You can see what we have done. These are managers who have also been given responsibility to practice, to sit with the board members that we saw, to see how they could be shaped. They are great performers. We try to invest as much in them. And again, you can see how the future is being built. Very young people being coached under the feet of the great men and women we saw managing. So this is a very talented team. You only become a board management member if you are outperforming. So we have about 4 branch managers. Let me introduce the first one. Helen Jiru from Mombasa. That's manages Supreme Mombasa. Then there is another one, Abros Gale, the most profitable branch, and branch number 1, where I used to sit when we were in 4 ways. And now, I think, Abros, we have overtaken you with Keboti. The branch that sits in Equity headquarters is the biggest. Mary Mugwanja, where are you? She's not there. Florence Muthama, Lavington, branch manager, Western branch manager, they're in that team. So we are coaching, mentoring, building the future teams. And the rest work with me in head office. There is a young man we have just promoted as managing director of insurance. As you had the insurance business. Thank you very much, Mary, for reminding me about the Oh, thank you very much for giving it. Give it to them. They really have. Now, as we said, last year when the market was so turbulent, everybody was losing money to go and borrow from central bank. Our total funding grew by 11%. And we saw that translated into an increase in 1% market share. And we can see how the funding grew. And deposit, again, as we saw, grew. But the growth in deposit is where I would like you to just note. While the group deposit grew by 11%, Kenya, amidst that turbulence, grew by 17% for the whole year. We could see that quarter growing at 22, but average for the whole year. The market was so shaken, but the bank grew deposit by, and that's what we are talking about, confidence. Why was the group lower? Simply because of the turbulence in South Sudan. Otherwise, we could have done much better, as we can see. And the group assets, as I said, we see the biggest growth is in what we call liquid assets, because that's what we really needed. And if you look at details, we will look at the distribution. Now, let me close by looking at the numbers. And the numbers, because that's what the auditors will talk about. The balance sheet grew significantly to 400. Grew by 14%. And most of the provision explains why profit after tax was down 4%. And comprehensive income went up by 66% to 17.3 billion shillings. As we can see, the big issues, when you look at then the return on assets, you see the return of assets coming down slightly because of that hit on interest rate, but still fairly comfortable and still the best among the industry. So ratios are very good. Capital, we still are properly funded. We don't need to bother shareholders this year or next year. We'll still be able to fund the growth from internally generated funds, and we'll still be able to carry very good growth prospects. So in a nutshell, shareholders, those are the numbers that we had. Dividend payout, 50% of all available funds paid as dividend, maintaining a dividend of 2 shillings per share. I want to remind shareholders that the per share capital of a share is only 50 cents. So when you pay 2 shillings on a 50 cents share, you are paying 400% dividend payout on the share. But in terms of quantum, we are paying 50% of all that is available.
Presentation. I will now ask our company secretary to read the report of the director on page 65 to 66 of the annual report. But since it's very well documented in the report that each one of you have, we can now take it as read instead of asking the company secretary to read. Is that agreed? We'll be saving time by doing so. May I now call upon the auditor, the audit partner of Ernst & Young, the outgoing external auditors, to present the financial statement and auditor's opinion.
Thank you, Chairman. Our part will be short because I think the group CEO has ably summarized the results. But just to refresh for the members, on the booklet that you have, the summary of the financial report for the income statement is on page 74, and as presented earlier by the group CEO, you can see our profit for the year 2016 is 17 billion compared to 10 billion for the group in 2015. And these have been verified, and I think members, you can see net interest income on page 73 there, where we achieved a growth in net interest income 61 billion compared to 41 billion, sorry, compared to the 3 billion for the group in 2015. And of course, down at the bottom of the page, we have profit before tax of 16 billion compared to 17 billion the other year. And that has been driven slightly down because of the providing for more risk in terms of higher provisions in 2016. Members, the balance sheet is for the group is shown on page 75, and on that one, as you can see at the bottom of the page, we have had a growth in our balance sheet to 473 billion compared to 428 billion in 2015. Our procedures have confirmed these figures, the performance for the year for the group, and also for the balance sheet, which is presented on page 75. I would now want to give our opinion, which is on pages, it's very long, members, and I would like Chairman to allow me to explain briefly. This runs from page 68 to page 72, and members, the four things have happened here. In 2016, the international standard on reporting was revised, and the first thing it did was to change the format. And as you can see on page 68, it begins with the opinion and concludes with the books agreeing with the financial report. Two, members, it also sets out the responsibilities very clearly, and the responsibilities of directors for the financial report are clearly stated there, and also the responsibilities of auditors are also clearly stated on page 71. But let me, Chairman, now briefly show the members what it says. The first part is the opinion, which is now the change format, and here we clearly state in our report that the audited financial statements give a true and fair view of the financial performance and also the financial affairs of Equity Group, and give a true and fair position that is on page 68, and so we have a clean bill of health. The third thing also for the standard now is that the basis of opinion is the second one, and here we clearly state that we obtained sufficient evidence to be able to give our opinion, and members, this was there before, but it's now second paragraph, and this is a confirmation that we received all the information and explanations that we needed to give our opinion. The new thing, which is number 3, members, is that the standard now requires key matters to be reported to members, and these key matters are determined by the external auditor, and in our case, Equity Bank Group members, there were two key matters which need to be reported to you in our view. And the first one is about the credit and the impairment which goes with it. That is a loan book. And this is clearly stated on page 69. And in spite of the length here, members, what we say that is a complicated area. Impairment and risk requires estimates by your board, and that standard number 39 has been properly applied. And in the procedures that we did carry out, including identifying the methods that are used to determine the possible loss for impairment losses that have been included in this financial report, we confirm that these have been clearly dealt with, and that is the reason for the whole of page 69 clearly stating that the loan book is a key matter which would need to be given to you shareholders who are investors. Then over the page, the other matter that we bring to your attention is the situation in South Sudan. There has been hyperinflation there, and this has been dealt with by applying the appropriate standard number 29, and in determining this, we have carried out all the procedures that are necessary to confirm, and we confirm to you that that's been properly dealt with. And this is the second matter which is key and needs to be reported to investors. For those of you who are also investors in other institutions which are listed like Equity Group, you'll be seeing these matters in those other investments. The third thing is other information, members, and this is on page 72. And other information for the purpose of the standard is information like in the director's report, information like in the chairman's statement, information like the group CEO's presentation. He has just done it. This information is not part of the audit opinion, but then the auditor is also expected to read what is in this book and also what we hear in our meeting like today. And if there is anything contradicting the financial report, we say so, and members would like to confirm that there is nothing in the director's report, in the CEO's report, which we think contradicts this financial report, and therefore we confirm that they are consistent, and that is other information, members. And that is the reason why this is included again in page 70. And then over now on page 71, members, Chairman, I'm about to conclude. The responsibility of the directors for the financial report is also stated. And then following that, the responsibility of the auditors for the financial report. And members, you can see more information is required by the standard to go to investors and members like yourselves. And it goes to state in the middle of the page that the auditors might identify and assess the risks facing the institution and the group, obtain an understanding of the controls that directors are put in place, and so forth. And all this is stated for you to take note. Certainly these were happening, members, even before, but this is now required by the standard to be stated. And that takes the whole of page 71, and then you'll be looking at this yourselves. And then over the page, members, we now conclude by report on other legal matters. And these members, that we obtained all the information, that the books of account which the group and the subsidiaries have kept are in agreement with this financial report, and also that the financial statements that are presented in front of you are in agreement with those books. And we did conclude our report and signed it on that 1st March in Nairobi 2017. So members and chairman, I wanted to take that privilege to explain to members so they understand why the report is long, more information, why we have to say the key matters which the standard requires. So thank you members then for listening. We have a clean report for you and we signed it on that 1st March 2017. Thank you, Chairman.
Esteemed investors, I think you have had time to go through the financial statements and the auditor's report, and you have also adequately listened to the opinion given by our external auditors. And it's now an opportune time for you investors to raise questions related to the account performance and annual report as submitted to you. So it's now an opportunity, and I'll start by say your name and ask you a question.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for this opportunity. Mr. Chairman, you will allow me, before I ask any question, to commend you first for your past record of integrity, to commend our doctor, who is our MD, to commend board members who are there, and to commend also our new chairman who is going to succeed you, and to commend all the subsidiaries who are here from our neighbor countries, and to commend all the staff of Equity as of today for the past performance, which has shown improvement through all the challenges that we have been told today. And also, I must also thank my fellow distinguished shareholders who are here today with us so that we go through together for this very important AGM, because we have a good number, we have a quorum, and everybody's here. So, Mr. Chairman, may I now go to page number 9, which has got accolades. I didn't expect this to happen, to be so many, but because it is there, let me also request my fellow distinguished shareholders to join me in clapping for you, because you have been the one side, and this side we have to clap for you also. Let us clap for our management and MDs. Mr. Chairman, now let me come to, let's now go together in the questions and observing the views of our, our accounts. On page 139, we have operating segment. One, there's one country that's called South Sudan, which has profit before tax. We got a loss of 528, that figure there. And then there is in Tanzania where we got the least profit. So my question is, what turnaround could the board and management effect so that we can improve these two countries on our board and management? Page number 73, Mr. Chairman, there is loss on net monetary position, which is about 129, the figure is there, but there was no any other such a loss in the previous years. Then on page number 75, Mr. on both years, 2015 and 2016. Now, what are those other reserves that we got losses? Please clarify, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much for those, because I have some other shareholders who will be also asking questions. Thank you very much. Asante sana shareholders. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we go to the next question? Let's take all the questions, then they can all be answered at once. Yes, say your name.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Ansel Jones. Mr. Chairman, I hold one of the best degrees in the world, and that is MYPE. Mr. Chairman, I want to start by telling you owe an apology to these shareholders because we started our meeting a bit late and we continued on illustrating our qualifications in this room when we have this Bible which has all the information and we should have taken as a read. Mr. Chairman, with due respect of your age, we are here to do business, but not interviewing people. We are not today interviewing people. We want to understand that business is the most important. And now I want to go to the business. Mr. Chairman, despite problems on lending rate, I want to commend your board and Dr. Mwangi for sustaining the bank in business. Mr. Chairman, our NPL has grown twice. During the comprehensive education from our CEO, he has not illustrated why we have doubled our NPL. Mr. Chairman, our NPL gives a lot of thinking because I can see in contingencies there are some figures which is off balance, which dictates fear. Mr. Chairman, also customer deposits has not grown significantly. That also gives us another liquidity thinking because we want to know which is our rate of liquidity at the moment, because we want to be number 43 when we are liquidity able. Mr. Chairman, our branch in Sudan has not been elaborated despite the continued political problems which has been happening in the Sudan, South Sudan. We are not getting to know where we stand as a branch. Mr. Chairman, also with this NPL, we want to know our rate of risk on credit because the credit has not been effectively done well this year. It has also been read through the audit. Mr. Chairman, also the segment which is important, SME, we have not been told how much it has earned this year separately because that is the backbone of the bank. We want to hear from the CEO what it has done and what we expect to grow because if it doesn't grow, we are not growing. We are called number 43 without numbers. Mr. Chairman, also, I want to put a very light request because Mr. Mwangi has educated all his staff and has given his staff education. I'm asking very politely that this education should be extended to customers and shareholders by way of taking these people to countries where business is done, such as livestock in Israel, Far East in China. People want to visit and see what is happening so that they can develop better ideas to promote the business in this country so that the equity can enjoy that knowledge. This is a very light request which should be extended to us today. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Can we have another question? Thank you very much. Before we answer, on the extreme end.
Habari wana members. Habari zenu. I will take my time to congratulate the team of Equity for the work they have done to us as shareholders. There are three things I want to put across, which are emerging now, even though others are outside a bit, but forgive me about bringing it, because they might assist us. Number one, we are talking about cyber crime. Recently, I saw in a media where a young man is hacking 4 billion from KRA. Now, these people are highly educated, and they are targeting big companies, and our Equity Bank is one of the biggest companies in Kenya, almost in East Africa, as I can say it. What have you done about such a people? Because they might target our money. We are investing a lot in equity, So we need our money to be protected at horror costs. We hire even people, international people, to monitor these people, because in an hour can act 4 billion, another 2 billion, another person. If we have around 100 people who are hacking information, our data from Equity, we will lose our bank, we will lose our country, our economy will go down. Number 2, last time we had a case in Equity where our staff ran away with 30 million from one of our branches. As shareholders, we would like to know how did you carry out the case and what happened. We give us a short, brief history so that we know where our money did you go to. And what have you done to such people who are working with us? We are their employers. Number 3, I am requesting now the bank and my fellow shareholders. We consider this one in those areas where we are making losses, or our returns are so small. In Tanzania and South Sudan, there is a calamity there. If you consider this one, we divert a bit from banking and we invest in real estate so that we can improve our returns in those areas. So it is a request, not a command. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for your questions. Can you please tell us your name?
My name is Justin Abea.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
That's me, Mr. Chairman. My name is Geoffrey Bethwell Maoga. Thank you very much. I thank your board, beginning from Dr. Peter Munga, Dr. James Mwangi, the main board, management, staff of Equity are no like others. These results in this book have come because of the manner in which you have picked this bank from where it was up to where it is. I can assure you the management in this bank is intricate. It's very difficult to manage this bank. It is you only who know what you have done to bring it to this end. And this one, you need to be recommended. And I think it's a good job you have done. So far, that's very good. 2, Mr. Chairman, you, Dr. Peter Munga and James, are born orators in your own stature. And we thank you for that, because at least we will never grow tired when you are talking, when you are on mic. Someone has said with your age and the rest of it, but Peter Munga can be standing like that for as long as he wants to. And that's wonderful. Here is a request from shareholders. When I was coming in, Mr. Chairman, I met a few members who were walking away with an umbrella and a black bag, yes. But they said they missed something in that bag. And that is the lunch. After this, I understand the board members and the shareholders who are here will be taking their lunch because they have a voucher, yes. But again, this shareholder who is committed, who has walked away because he or she did not want to walk away, they are pressing commitments out there. And there are some sitting here who at least are saying, yes, I came, my granddaughter, my grandson will be asking me where I went, and they have got whatever they have got, but that they are sitting here because of that lunch box, Mr. Chairman. And last year, in this field here, one listed company did what they did, and after this, walking there was skirmishes, and I can assure you, nothing, whatever was there was wiped because there was skirmishes and they walked away. So the request is this, that lunch box, because if we are in Safari Park, these things are prepared early, deal with a shareholder as that shareholder registers and walks away. They can decide to come and listen to this bank because the management is sound. They have nothing to listen to because the story is in this book. Deal with them as they come in, give them the lunch box. That token you want to give them so that they decide to sit here, those ones who will. That is the request shareholders are giving. To Dr. James Mwangi, you have displayed some directors in your office. We do know. You are not blowing your trumpet, we have seen. But there is one young man who is doing a tremendous job also. And that one is that person who is keeping the register for these shareholders. The arrangements out there, it's fantastic. You are the only group that is keeping their own register and effectively well. I know one name, and I think David or something. If you can whisper that to him, Dr. James Mwangi, later, it would be appreciated. Now, we come, I'm making my last comment. Yes, there is a small cancer. You have seen banks are not doing well. Chairman, you have mentioned it here. This interest capping. I do believe both you and Dr. James Mwangi can carry this message to the powers that are, that capping is not doing shareholders any good. And I believe one evening or one afternoon, if both of you decided, that message can reach where it is supposed to go. So I request you to do that. That interest capping is not so good to us. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Geoffrey Bethel Maoga.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you. Now let's go to that lady. Say your name and ask your question.
Thank you, Chairman. My name is Sally Chepkorir. Just want to appreciate Dr. James Mwangi, together with the entire team, the board of directors, the staff, and my fellow shareholders. I want to tell James Mwangi that we do appreciate you. Thank you for being the father of the less fortunate members of the society. Thank you for being the father figure to the destitutes. You took the children of the poor to school from nothing to something. We do appreciate you. Secondly, we know that you have the capacity, you have the will, and you have the way to take this company to the greater heights. This is my opinion. Now that you are the CEO of a very prestigious institution like this, it is my desire and hope that one day, one time, you will be the CEO of this country. You have our thoughts almost everywhere in the country. You are a tribalist leader, an unpartisan, and you have our thoughts. Thank you.
Another lady here.
Yes, my name is Jane Wairi Mugaduka from Kangari. My comment is that as I go through when you are introducing, I see you have not complied with the law because I've seen most of the managers are men. Now, according to the law, 1/3 of the gender must be women. So, you consider that because I've seen you have not gone according to the Constitution. The other thing is that I'm a businesswoman. I thank you because of giving us the umbrella, but next time I would like you consider the businesswoman. I saw against the enemy across the road. There is these big umbrellas. At least you can give us as business women. Thank you very much. That is only what I have. Thank you very much.
Can we, unless it's a very burning one, yes? Then we stop from there so that...
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Joseph Kamau Gitori from Keno. I'm taking you to page 136. No, 134. Now, thank you, Mr. Chairman, my name is Joseph Kamau Gitori from Keno. I congratulate you for employing very highly educated personnel. What I want to say, now you have created a very great wealth and you have received several awards. Last year you gave us 2 shillings. I'm talking about dividend. You have created wealth. Today you are giving us 2 shillings. Your landed board, next year we don't want to hear shillings. We want from 4 shillings and 5 shillings and above, if it is possible, so that we may be proud of our investment. I can give you a good example. You can't send a lion to go and hunt for an antelope. Then when it comes with an antelope, you slaughter that antelope. Then you give the dog, you give the lion bones. So next year, you want a good dividend. And may God bless you. Thank you.
Well, I hope you allow me to request the Chief Executive to now respond to the questions that you have asked. Dr. Mwangi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And thank you very much, shareholders, for very excellent questions. This is why equity continues to improve because of this dialogue between management, board, shareholders, as stakeholders. When we come together and we dialogue about our business and we reason together, we can only be better and also promote common understanding. Answering Mr. Chami's question, thank you, Mr. Chami, for acknowledging the recognitions and the awards that the bank has continued to achieve. You raised a question on page 139 about the performance of Tanzania and South Sudan. I'm glad the chairman of South Sudan, Professor Shem Migot, is here. The chairman of Tanzania, David Ansel, is here with their board. I will really ask them to look into the issues that have been raised. But without defending the boards and the chairman and management, the MDs are here. Addis, you have heard. Joseph Iha, you have heard. Basically, Tanzania, we did reinvestment. We had 6 branches in 2015. And in 2016, we decided to double that branch network. We now have 13. So the cost of the new branches, it's like reinvesting. And of course, the branches have not even started making money. We had to double the number of employees. So you incur the cost first. It's like buying seedlings, buying fertilizer, plowing the land, but you only get a harvest after 9 months. So we are still in that stage, but I'm glad to say out of the 7 branches we opened, 4 have already broken even. Only 2 are now remaining. So this year, we would expect Tanzania maybe to double its profit. But let me also say, Tanzania last year was a difficult year. That was an election year. And every time, you know, our politics, even it derails the economy. So Tanzania had a very difficult year. But we have faith and confidence that Tanzania eventually will be one of the biggest subsidiaries. It has high potential, high mineral wealth, high infrastructure ambitions, and we hope the board of Tanzania, the here engineer, Godfrey, you have had the concern, and you do whatever it takes. But again, lastly, it's a young baby. Allow the baby to carry water in a jerrycan before you ask them. Kenya is 34 years old. Tanzania, this is your 5th year? The 5th year. And they have moved from number 57. They are now number what? Number 12. So you can imagine they were registered when they were number 57, and in 5 years, they are number 12. So again, the size, how is the performance of the banking industry also tells quite a lot. South Sudan, and this answers some of the questions of the Jones who asked about losses. South Sudan, and the auditors highlighted it. This was a country that had a promise. If I give you a little bit of background, this is a country that fought for 50 years for their independence. And then they got independence. They approached us and said, you have transformed Kenya, we would like you to come and help us in South Sudan. That was the late John Garang, the first president. And after pleading with us 3 times, we agreed. But unfortunately, after 6 years of independence, it appears there was a rupture in peace. And initially, we had opened up to 12 branches. And because of uncertainty and because of lack of peace, we have been forced to reduce those branches. I think we now have 5. So you can see when you close branches which you had just opened, you write off all the cost of building those branches. You have to lead it, pay the staff as you retrench them. The second big problem is that most of the expatriates who were operating in South Sudan, Kenyans, Ugandans, in uncertain times, they all left South Sudan. So we are really talking, a country that was exporting oil is no longer exporting oil. You can imagine, I think, Addis, for how many months have the civil servants not been paid? Like now for 3 months, civil servants are not being. So it's a very difficult environment that we are operating in. And as a result, and lastly, in 2015, before the rupture of peace, the exchange rate to the dollar was 3 Sudanese pounds were exchanging for $1. Actually, it was 2.9. Today, it is 100 and what? 116. What did it mean? It's what the auditors called hyperinflation. We are talking about the inflation here of 11% and say complaining. We are operating in an environment of 800% inflation. 800%. And essentially what happens is that all your assets lose value by about 800%. And you see, last year, that devaluation or loss of value cost us to write off a loss of 6 billion shillings. So it is not performance. It's what you could call an economic meltdown of an economy. So it is nothing about management. But we are doing our very best to reduce losses. That's why we have said, let's close the branches because there is no business. Let's try, like hibernation. Let's retain the license until peace returns. And I want to ask you to join South Sudanese, as you heard Mary and Dr. Spencer said, that they still hope that South Sudan will return to peace. Otherwise, we'd like to ask shareholders to treat South Sudan as a dormant company. We're just maintaining a license, and you can't maintain a license unless you are open until the situation changes. But Tanzania, I can promise, and David, don't hold me to this, that we'll see significant improvement. I think a big question on page 73. Yeah.
There was 73, the loss of net monetary position, and there was no such a loss in the previous years.
So those are the losses we are dealing with of deflation or emanating from South Sudan.
And the reserves on page 75, what are the other reserves?
The other reserves is more of provision, statutory provision against the loan book, which again, we are being very, very conservative and saying, let's set aside. Because you have no money to write, because you are not charging interest. Remember, micro loans, we were charging them 18. They had a default rate of 14. We were making 4%. And now their default rate is higher than the interest rate. So you are making losses. So we say, let's set reserves. When you are doing well, set reserves for a rainy day. So basically, that's what we have done. Now, Zhao Jones, very good questions. Lending rates, thank you for observing that it's very difficult to manage a bank now because of the lending rate. But we'll do our very best on terms of quality and creating a mix of portfolio that could allow us to maintain. NPLs have grown twice. It is true, our NPLs used to be 3.6. We're now at 6.8. That's really double. But that reflects the economy. It reflects the situation. The only thing, Jones, I would really like to say is we're doing our very best within that economic environment. And that is why, while the average for the banking industry is 10, we are still at 6. It's not a very good excuse. I know as a shareholder you would like us to be at 2, which we have always promised. We have all operated around 2. But sometimes you have these shocks, and until the shock. Let me say what happened. Let's say the 3 banks that failed, they failed with nearly 190 billion shillings. Those were customers' money that has been locked now for 2 years. Those were businesses that were operating. If those business people had been supplied by a customer or a supplier, they have never paid them, and they may never pay them. That customer, if they are not paid, they will never pay their bank loan. If you look at the loss in northern Kenya, where livestock is completely devastated, or a failure of a crop like last year, you see what will happen is that general default because of the, not customer wish, but the circumstances have forced them to default. So we do our very best to mitigate, but we don't also want to be too aggressive to the customers because they are our customers during good times and bad times. So we accommodate and say, let's work together because every season, even a rainy season, occasionally comes to an end. We can see the drought is coming to an end. And we hope now we can help the customer, refinance them, and hopefully in a year or 2, they'll be able to pay what they have been, they had defaulted. I think the biggest challenge we have seen is in agriculture and micro businesses. That's where, particularly micro businesses, banks used to lend them, and now they are not able to lend them. If you are not, you know, bank will not lend you, and you want to maintain your business, even the loan you have, you don't pay. So basically, it is a vicious circle. And Jones, we can keep on exchanging these notes. maybe I'll invite you for a cup of coffee. You might give me a few ideas as to how we can handle this. Feel free when I call you. And Catherine maybe picked John's number before we leave, just to ensure we invite him. He might have suggestions, and so that we improve. I think the off-balance sheet items, I'm glad you have noticed, but that is what is now sustaining the bank. Instead of doing balance sheet lending, you do off-balance sheet trade. So like now, the food that is being imported, we are giving LCs and giving guarantees because we know it's a cash business. Slowly, because of our balance sheet, we have also gone to oil, and again, it's a cash business. So we don't expect any default in that area. Unless, Lohit, do you want to say anything? You were good, okay. But you can sit a little bit with the Jones. I think I didn't fully understand you, Zhao, when you said customers' deposits have not grown significantly. And we said the total banking industry shrunk, and I showed a slide, by 2%. But the bank, Kenya, grew by 17%. I believe it is the fastest growing bank in Kenya in terms of deposit. The whole group grew by 11%, but Kenya grew by 17%, while the total industry shrunk by 2%. So, but we can compare notes. I think liquidity, we said, at the moment, we are operating at 48 as the date of this audited account. That has improved 53. Again, ranking as the most liquid bank. So, and we continue to lend those who can be able to borrow. And where people are not able to borrow, then we are able to lend to the government so that it can lend the other banks and take the risk of the other banks. South Sudan, I hope the answer I have given suffices. That South Sudan is a case all of us have to accept. Occasionally you make an investment. I don't want to say this is a cow that we bought and then it died, but we are saying it's a cow that might not give us milk for the next 2 years. So psychologically, we management are asking, if we lose the milk we were getting from South Sudan, where do we get it? And I can tell you, like the board of Uganda has been told they can help by compensating the loss we got in South. So we are trying our very best to SME contribution. I guess, Elizabeth, our SME has 72% of their own book? 72% of their own book? Because, as I said, we want to support wealth creation. This country will remain poor unless we generate wealth. And you can't generate wealth other than being an entrepreneur, producing goods and services. So that's what we are really focusing on. And as you can see, we have created a group director of SMEs. Philip, I'm sure you have heard that the shareholders want you to focus on SME and grow SME, and particularly take the SMEs to the rural areas so that we can support the economy to grow. But that is our area of focus so that we grow the economy. I liked the request about education, particularly for customers and shareholders. I think for customers, we have done very well. We have FINCA. FINCA is financial literacy for our customers who are in small and medium businesses. So far, over the last 4 years, and I want to applaud the foundation team, we have trained 1.4 million customers on how to do business. And that is an 11-week training program. We have now moved a little bit in each hire, and we are doing a 3-year entrepreneurship training program. And that we have targeted 25,000. How many have we trained out of 25,000? Penny? 15,000 have already trained. So that is more of a formal training, bookkeeping, how to, because the better the customers become, the better the bank becomes. The default rate reduces, balances grow. Where we might not have done very well is exposure visits. And I guess, Philip, you have heard the shareholders, and this we can focus principally on shareholders, they would like exposure of best practices. If it is irrigation, why don't we take to Israel? What it is SMEs, why don't we take them for an experiential tour in Germany? But let me also say we have now formed the clubs, which Philip is launching of the SME customers. We can also have clubs for shareholders, where we exchange information and we do also occasional training, so that we can also invite. So Philip, if you could add that, focusing on shareholders, I think that was a very good. If you really want to appreciate the value of knowledge, try ignorance. So Jones, I'm really glad that you believe there is no substitute for knowledge. Let's try and build the knowledge. I think it was a big question. Then from there, from Justin Aber, cyber crime. And I want, because it seemed a technical question, I don't know whether, Alex, you can give Eric Karobia the mic to explain how secure we are. As Eric gets the mic, here he is. Last week, there was what was being called the worst cyber attack that has ever happened in the world, which spread within a night to 200 countries and affected 3,000 companies. In Kenya, it affected 19 companies. It was being called the ransom. Yeah, and I'm glad we were not hurt. Let Eric explain how we protect ourselves. But I'm so glad you realized that the capability to protect yourself is so sophisticated that you need to outsource these to the best global companies to protect you. Because you are not protecting yourself from fellow Kenyans. You are protecting yourself from somebody in Russia. Like this one, I think you can explain where it originated from. You are being attacked by stolen codes from the US intelligence. So again, you need, and let me also explain, that's why we have two specialist directors, Patrick, who hold a PhD in risk, and of course, John, who holds also a focus on cybercrime, because that is the biggest risk we have at the moment. But Eric, quickly.
Yeah, thank you, James. Thank you, Chairman. I think I want to thank the shareholder for that question regarding security, which is something that we're taking very seriously as an organization and has become a central focus for the group in terms of protecting the customers' funds. What I can say is that we have layered almost 3 levels of protection. So first, we have what we call our own internal systems and applications that protect the applications of the bank, in the bank, all the way from the networks to the infrastructure to the servers. Secondly, what we've done is that we have gone now and recertified ourselves, especially with the industry standards. That's why we have what we call the payments card industry standards that we certified recently to just ensure that we are protected as an organization. Thirdly, we've gone out there and hired the best top of the world company, what we call the Global Security Operations Center, that protects us from external vulnerabilities. What happens is that they listen across the globe for anything that is happening in the financial industry or anywhere that could pose potential danger to the organization, and they advise us, and in some instances, they take down. So what they have as a mandate is that if they feel we are threatened, then they can actually take down a potential threat to the organization. And there are many more other layers that we are putting on top. So we are going for further recertifications on areas that we feel that we need to harden within our organization. It has become so central that we have formed a whole directorate that just focuses on security in the organization, especially info security. The current malware, what is being called the ransomware, that has origins in America and North Korea, we've already done our assessment, and already our teams have deployed the necessary defenses to ensure that it does not affect the organization. Thank you, James.
Thank you very much. So security, we are very tight. You can sleep soundly knowing that there we have taken all the precautions. Once you create wealth, like we have created jointly together, 500 billion shillings, the biggest responsibility is not to create more, is to protect 500 billion. So you can trust. The only thing that keeps me awake is security. And I think, Kimadi, we have how many security departments? Is Charles with us here now? Very good. Charles looks at operational risk. There is IT risk. Where are they? Nyoike. Then there is compliance risk, legal department, and all the others. There is even security risk. And come and explain, give him the mic to explain about the 30 million that was asked. That is a full chief inspector of police, and he can tell you how many police officers he has just to deal with this. I think the biggest department now in the bank with about 200 people is on security, different security areas. So Gerard.
Good morning, shareholders. My name is Gerard Munyiri. I'm the head of security and fraud investigations. On Odaya issue, I can
Odaya is where we lost 30 million shillings.
It was executed by 3 members of staff, and within the same day, they were all arrested. And thereafter, we arrested 9 other people who supported them who are external.
So in total, 12 people were arrested. You try elsewhere, not Equity. Because if we don't send clear signals, then because of our large network, people will come. I want to give an example. In Uganda, we lost $1.5 million, where the most sophisticated. It took me to go to the head of state and said, we'll divest. Within that week, 16 people had been locked up. And I think we have fully recovered 60 million. And I think judgment for the 16 is, where is Kerobe? Judgment is on when? End of this month. You never steal equity, we better pay to punish you, you become a lesson to others. So really, so if those you know that is their business, tell them that it appears I have understood from Wangi that equity is not where to, because it is better to protect one. A good shepherd leaves 399 goats to go and look for one that is stolen. That is my philosophy, that is my belief. And how many police officers do you have, inspectors of police in the bank?
We have 20.
20 inspectors of police. Why? Because everybody is a suspect. Everybody is a suspect. You never trust. In God we trust, everybody else verified. And that is why we don't lose money. The second thing I want to say is that money was insured and we were paid in full, because we don't take risk with shareholders' money. And we can go on. But let me allow, I think, Justice Abeya, you heard about South Sudan. Let's give them a chance. After all, there is nothing to divest because we are at maintenance level. We are just maintaining the license now. You will not be seeing much losses. And in Tanzania, give them a chance and let's see how they will be this year. Jeffrey Maoga, thank you for noting that managing a group with 13 companies operating in East and Central Africa in 2 very volatile countries is not very easy. That we really appreciate. The request, thank you very much. Shareholders are appreciating that you received an umbrella, but asked for lunchbox. I'm reliably informed that we wanted to give shareholders fresh food. You don't give shareholders a box in the morning to eat at lunch hour. So as you leave here, your box is ready with fresh food. Because you remember we had that debate of an egg. You remember that egg debate? You give people food in the morning and then by afternoon it's stale and so the food is still there. It would be wrong for us to bring you to a hotel and we don't give you food. I think that might have been an oversight, simply the process. But I'm also glad we should be eating after finishing our business. We don't eat in the morning. At dividend, we have had you. But let me say this. We are the second most profitable bank in the country. If we divided all the money we made, we could only have given you 4 shillings. That's the maximum we can give you. And the trade-off we have is, do we give you the total 4 shillings per share, or we give you 2, retain 2, and like we have done, because Uganda is doubling its size this year, we have already given them 1 billion shillings. Already they have received their billion in capital. If we look, we have increased the capital in DLC. We bought DLC when the balance sheet was 13 billion. In the second year, we are now 27 billion. We had to put an additional $20 million. That is what we say, we fund from within. So and basically, we give you half, and half continues to fund expansion so that the profitability can be better years to come. But we also hear you that it's a trade-off that needs to be, we need to grow much more. I heard about, and really this was very good, giving feedback about David. You can see we need to finish. Maybe, Chairman, next time we will only take 2 questions because the main agenda has not been transacted. So I want to ask you to bear with us. I wish I didn't say that the lunch box is there. I regret having said that, but it's good to be honest. Interest capping, we had the challenge, but I'm sure you all know my start. I said it from day one, it will not work. It's not fear. We have pushed memorandum at Vision 20 that we have put. The economy is rating, everybody is saying, but we hope the government will respond in good time. Korea, thank you very much for the compliments. We hear you. Jane, Jedalul, thank you very much. Mary, persuade the board. But as you can see, the group board has complied. There are 3 ladies in front and 3 gentlemen. The managers. Okay, there are more men. It's the ladies didn't come. It's those who are here. I think we have 46% ladies and 54 men in the bank. It's an equal employer. So, and we'll try. Finca is what we are training customers, particularly women. We have Fanikisha. Fanikisha has 9 products, all geared towards business women. And maybe when we finish, we can have a chat. Elizabeth, you talk to Jane so that you agree. The focus on women is very critical. I think, Joseph, we take note, the 2 shillings dividend, you are not happy, you need more and more. I think we have to continue working as hard as we can. We are the best performing bank, but we will do whatever it takes. But let me also, something that has never been clarified, and Jones, you can help me here, and Joseph, because I know your analysis capability. Most of the shares that we compare with in the market, they have a share per value of 5 shillings. They are 5 shillings, and they pay 2 shillings. Like the banks you compare with us, the ones that have released results. Their share per, what we are saying, the money that was given to the company is 5 shillings. They pay 2. We are given only 50 cents, and we are giving 2 shillings. So you can see we are giving 4 times what we received as share capital. It's like a maize cob or a maize plant that is producing 4 cobs every year without fail. You plant 1 seed, it gives you 4 cobs. So sometimes that analysis would be help, and I would really like to analyze them. You can't be the most profitable bank in Africa and fail to be paying the best returns. It is that we sometimes don't understand, that what you invested, what came to, you might say, I bought the share for 30 shillings. You paid 29 shillings and 50 cents as a premium to the person who sold you the shares, but what we hold in the books is only 50 cents. And for that 50 cents, every year we are paying you 2 shillings. That's basically the interpretation of. Mr. Chairman, I've taken long, but it's only fair and just to respond to all the questions of the shareholders, because we have only 1 day with you in a year. This is your contribution to make your bank better. Thank you very much.
Lastly, let me apologize for having started our meeting late by 15 minutes. The entire board were here at 6:30 this morning. We had a board meeting in the next room, and we walked slowly. And I think before we sat down to start the meeting, 15 minutes got spent that way. But nevertheless, I apologize. And you know we like keeping time. In actual fact, in our next AGM, we'll start 15 minutes earlier to compensate. Now, may I have a shareholder to formally propose?
There's a burning issue. There's an issue I think we should address. We shall address it.
We shall address it afterwards.
It's important. It's important as a shareholder and as a customer. So please hear me out. I've come to the bank to ask one of the things you've done as a customer, you have increased the fee for renewing ATM cards and reduced the period. It used to be for 5 years, now you've reduced it for 3 years. I don't think that's fair, considering that now I've operated my account from 6 to 7.
I will now ask, if you don't mind, I have heard you, and you are. Now you are talking as a customer and not as an investor. The difference is there. This is a meeting of investors. And what I'll do, if you don't mind, let's not engage ourselves in a debate. I'll refer you to Mr. Kiboti, who is here. Kiboti, can you come in so that he sees you? You can go there and probably sort it out. Thank you very much. The meeting hereby adopts the annual report, audited financial statement, and director's remuneration for the year ended that 1st December 2016, together with the chairman's and auditor's report thereon. May I have a proposal? Can I have a seconder? No, say your name. Chami. Okay. Take those. May I now put the proposal? Those in favor? Those against? The motion is carried. Item number 3, to approve first and final dividends for the year ended that 1st December 2016 of Kenya shillings to subject to withholding tax where applicable. A dividend of 2 shillings per share subject to withholding tax where applicable. May I have a shareholder to formally propose that the meeting hereby approves the dividends for the year ended that 1st December 2016 of 2 shillings per share subject to withholding tax where applicable. May I have a shareholder to propose? Your name?
Geoffrey Maoga, Mr. Chairman.
James Maora. May I have
Geoffrey Maoga, Mr. Chairman, my names are Geoffrey Bethwell Maoga.
Maoga.
Maoga, yes.
Oh, thank you. The name has been taken correctly. May I have a shareholder to second the proposal?
I second. Then Kisilu.
Thank you. I put the proposal. Those in favor? Those against? None. I confirm that I declare the resolution as carried. Now, item number 4, to confirm the remuneration of the directors for the year ended that 1st December 2016. May I have a shareholder to formally propose that the meeting hereby confirms the remuneration of directors for the year ended that 1st December. Have you heard the name?
Joseph Ituma, I propose.
Thank you. May I have a shareholder to second the proposal?
Let me second, Mr. Chairman. My name is Irungu Kimani from Thika.
May I then put the proposal to the shareholders? Those in favor? Those against? None. I declare the proposal as carried. Go to the next item of the agenda. And before, because I may wish, I'm conflicted in this one, this proposal, and for good corporate governance, I'll request one of the directors to come and be the returning officer for this item of the agenda, Evelyn.
I'm honored to take you through this session. This is a session when you make the top leadership of your company, and it is about election of directors. In this session, we have 5 directors, which we will consider individually. We have Dr. Peter Kahara Monga, a director, having attained the age of 70 years, retires from office in terms of Clause 2.5 of the Capital Markets Code of Corporate Governance Practices for issuers of securities to the public 2015, and offers himself for re-election. We also, so that is Dr. Peter Kahara Monga. His introduction is on the screens, which you can all see. And I would like now to have a shareholder to formally propose. Okay. Your name, please. Jones, Secretary. Thank you. May I have a shareholder to second the... Okay, I have...
Whereby those who are coming from other countries can see where the equity society started up to where it is today.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I now put the resolution to the meeting. Those in favor, please raise your hands. That's like unanimous. Thank you very much. Do we have any against? You may put up your hand. Thank you very much. Then we have Mr. David Ansell, a director having attained the age of 70 years, retires in terms of clause 2.5 of the Capital Markets Code of Corporate Governance Practices for issuers of securities to the public, 2015, and offers himself for re-election. You heard from Mr. David Ansell several times. I already have a proposal.
Mr. Morjaria.
Mr. Morjaria proposes. May I have another one to second the resolution? Is somebody in the middle behind you? Your name, please. Sorry? Who? Do you hear the name?
Eustace.
Eustace.
Yes.
Okay.
Me
Thank
too.
you. Thank you. I now put the resolution to the meeting. Those in favor, please raise your hands. Thank you. Do we have any that are against the motion? Thank you very much. We have Dr. Helen Gishohi. Dr. Helen Gishohi retires by rotation in accordance with Article 100 of the company's Articles of Association, and being eligible, offers herself for re-election as a director. May I have a shareholder to propose? We have a lady there in the middle.
Beatrice Kamau.
Mrs. Kamau?
Yes.
Thank you.
I propose.
Thank you. May I have another director to, another shareholder to second? Your names, please.
I'm Peter Kamau. Okay. Second.
So from the three directors that we've already elected, I declare the resolutions carried. Oh, for Helen, I put the resolution to the meeting. Sorry. Those in favor, please raise your hands. Wow, thank you. Thank you. Do we have any against? No. Thank you very much. We have another item. We had Mr. Adil Popat, who retires by rotation in accordance with Article 100 of the company's Articles of Association and does not offer himself for re-election. Here it is for us, for you, the shareholders, to note, because he has already retired. Thank you very much. And Dr. Munga, you may now take back your position. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And congratulations. Thank you.
Item number 6, yes. Yes. Item. Item number 6, is it here then? This one. Item number 6. May I have a shareholder to formally propose that the company external auditors, Ernst & Young, have retired by rotation, and the director are proposing the appointment of PricewaterhouseCoopers, commonly known as PwC, as the new directors of the company in accordance, auditors of the company in accordance with section 721(2) of the Companies Act number 17 of 2015, and authorize the directors to fix their remuneration. Ernst & Young have been with us for the last 13 years or so, in fact more than that, and the directors thought probably it's time that we change them, but they have done a fantastic job, and we'd like to thank them very much for the good job that they have done for the number of years that they have actually audited our books. I therefore am asking for a proposal from the shareholders. Yes. Your name, please?
Mr. Morjaria.
Morjaria.
Yeah.
Mr. Morjaria proposes, may I have a shareholder to second?
I second, Mr. Chairman. My name is Irongo Kimani, and I want to talk with the Ernst & Young person after the meeting.
Probably to give them a new appointment. Thank you very much. May I now put the resolution to the meeting? Those in favor, please raise up your hands. Those against, none. I declare the resolution as carried. To change the name of the company from Equity Group Holdings Limited to Equity Group Holding PLC. This is a new legal requirement for all public listed companies, and the PLC means public listed company. So we are just deleting off LTD and replacing it with PLC. So can I have a proposal? Shamis?
Yeah, I continue proposing, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Can I have a shareholder to second? Over there? Jeffrey Maoga. May I put a question to the floor? Those in favor? Those against? None. Item number 8. Any other business of which notice has been duly received. I'll try to find out from the company secretary whether she has received anything.
Mr. Chairman, no formal notice has been given for any other business. Thank you.
There is no notice that has been received, and therefore there is no other business to be transacted in this meeting. This then concludes the business of today's meeting, and I accordingly declare the meeting closed. I will now ask Dr. James Mwangi to give a few remarks on the closing. Dr. Mwangi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I just want to take this opportunity to thank you most sincerely, our shareholders, for spending quality time with us. For we value these annual general meetings, and in a very special way, recognize you are turning up in huge numbers. I also want to really acknowledge that our biggest shareholder, Allies, which is made of 3 European companies, has sent a representation of 4 senior management. Maybe you could start with recognize. That's Allies, which is NOFAD. And you can see shareholders coming all the way from Europe to come and attend an AGM. So it is really encouraging to see the commitment. And that being an anchor shareholder, they have a greater oversight. They just want to be sure. And we really appreciate. We regret that Malik, who represents the biggest shareholder, was not with us. He was not able to join us. He sits on the board of the holding company. And we deeply, really appreciate. Let me close by saying, it has always been a pressure. I've served you for 27 years. I want to say, God giving me good health, I would like to remain serving you as long as I have strength, because I enjoy serving you. And I would hate to ever change this job for any other job. I would like just to retire this and go home. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, James. I'll now call.
And your company secretary reminds me that David was not very efficient just in registering you, but that for those whose accounts are in Equity Bank, they have just been credited with your dividend. So David is that efficient. He has credited everyone over here. David reports to Mary, he is a staff of Mary. So Mary, by extension, congratulations for serving our shareholders well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, also coming from the directors. Thank you very much, Mary and David, for that high degree of efficiency. I would also want to thank, on your behalf, investors, the directors who have come from our subsidiaries. In fact, it's a high degree of commitment for them to have traveled all the way from DRC, Rwanda, Southern Sudan, and Tanzania, and Rwanda. So thank you very much. May I request our bishop to come and close with a word of prayer. And Esther to come and say the process of food. Esther, come before we close with a word of prayer.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I want to assure our shareholders that we have enough food for each one of you. When we get out of here, we'll have 2 queues, one for women and the other one for men or ladies and gentlemen. And we'll pick our packs of food as we get out of this compound. Thank you very much.
One additional queue for ornaments.
We'll try to look at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Shall we pray? Our Father, we want to thank you once again for the wonderful time you have given us in this our 13th general meeting. We thank you as we prayed in the beginning. We have seen your guidance and we want to thank you. Now as we come to the end of this meeting, we want to pray that, Lord, your grace that has worked on us throughout will continue to work on us and bless us, even as you continue extending us. We thank you for blessing Equity Group Holding PLC and helping us in all the 6 countries where we are operating. How we pray that the year 2017, by your grace, you'll surprise us with better results, and we shall be careful to give you all the glory. As we leave, we pray the Lord, you bless those who are traveling by giving them journey mercies. We also want to thank you for our lunch We bless it as we take it with thanksgiving. We thank you and we bless you, for this we do in Christ Jesus our Lord. Amen.
Hey, long, right? 8 weeks. Can you believe? I hope you have been praying.